Hey, how y'all doing?
How you doing, Mr. Jackson?
Doing just fine. How you doing, bud?
My name is Gary McAlpin. I'm the security director for the Lighthouse Church.
Okay.
So I'm going to have to ask you to leave. Okay? You create too much disturbance here, so I just need you to leave. You're not welcome here. Okay? Thank you.
What kind of disturbance have I caused, sir?
You've been here twice and you've been videotaping people, and we're not the only church you've been videotaping or asked to leave, so I'm going to follow suit and ask you to leave.
So you're telling me that I don't have a right to use my own device? Because there's nothing on your windows, there's nothing on your property that says that cameras is not allowed on your property.
They are if I say they are, and they aren't if I say they aren't. Today I'm saying they aren't.
Well, how come they are for some, but they aren't for others?
They're not for anybody.
Really? I see people in there with their devices all the time. Matter of fact, there's one standing right there videotaping.
Yes, he's part of our security team, and he's videotaping this for a purpose.
Right.
So I need you to leave.
And I'm videotaping y'all because what you're doing is prejudice.
Good day.
Yes, sir. You're discriminating against me
I need you to leave, please.
because I've never done nothing.
Norman, call the police.
Call the police.
I've asked you to leave, and I'm not going to ask you again. You need to leave.
What have I done? What have I done? What have I done?
Have a good day. Thank you.
Maybe we need to get the cops out here because there's something wrong with this picture. I've not said or done nothing. I've not had no disturbances with none of the people here.
You created disturbance to other people, so I need you to leave.
How have I created a disturbance? By getting my video camera out?
Videotape people just like you did at First Baptist Church this morning.
Right.
I need you to leave.
Right. And I asked permission to do that, and I got permission by one of the deacons to be able to record.
They asked you to leave too, and they called the police, and I'm going to call the same police, so I need you to leave. Thank you.
Am I being exiled?
You're being asked to leave, Mr. Jackson, please. Please exercise that right to leave.
Do I have a disease?
I'm asking you to leave.
Do I have some sort of a disease? Is that what the deal is?
No, I just need you to leave. Leave for me, please. Thank you.
The door this
No,
way.
just go right here. Go right here. Yep, just go right
I don't even have a place to worship. These people are telling me that I'm not welcome here, and this is supposed to be a house of God. A place of worship. Is this not an open public place?
It is open to the public. It is private property.
I understand that.
And as the owner, I am the director for this private property owner, and I have the right to ask you to leave, which I have. And now I'm going to get police assistance to get you to leave.
I'll leave. I ain't done nothing wrong. What? You're going to have to answer for this one day.
I will, thank you.
Yes, sir. Being asked to leave. Discriminating against me. Discrimination. Looks like a lawsuit, you know what I'm saying? A major lawsuit to the church communities. I feel threatened. A matter of fact, I'm still a member of this church. You do recognize that, right? Thank you. Here we go. Being exiled from the church community. I figured there was something up. So I went ahead and got my video camera out. Sure enough. Smelt a rat in the wood pile. Guest parking at the Lighthouse Church. And I've caused a disturbance. Well, it's a funny thing to me. I didn't hear no disturbance whenever I was here the last two times. It's a funny thing to me. I was at the United Pentecostal Church in Union City, and they didn't ask me to leave. And that was just this past last Sunday. What you're doing here is wrong. It's very, very wrong. Very wrong. I don't care if you own the property or not. It's still open for the public. Norman, this is wrong. Wow. Talk about notoriety. I think if I was a warlock or a Zulu or some other known spiritual, let's say, known tarot card reader or something like that, I think I would have got a better, pleasanter welcome if I was one of those people than I am right now, receiving what I'm receiving out here pertaining to this church group. Lighthouse Pentecostal Church. I was a member here for about 2.5 years. Left in 205, yeah. And in 206, a tornado hit their church and completely, totally destroyed it, desecrated it. Tell me that ain't the wrath of God coming down upon to a group of people that's doing something obviously wrong. Kind of like the Baptist. You know, what do they have to hide? That you're not allowed to have a instrument documentation device in your hand because there's nothing on the property, there's nothing on the windows, there's nothing on the glass that says video cameras are not allowed. I've been to places, trust me, I've been to places that had it documented out front and around the building, no cameras allowed. Usually they was for Hell's Angels or other types of private groups, but I've driven by and I've seen those buildings, and I know that whenever they do that, then you're not allowed to have a camera nowhere around that facility or in that facility. But to do this to a church, something's wrong here. Something's very, very wrong here. And Norman, the insurance guy, he knows that what they're doing is wrong. It's very, very wrong in what they're doing, regardless whether it be the Baptist or the United Pentecostal. Now, I just come from another church today that's up here in Jackson, Tennessee. This was going to be my third service today here in Jackson, Tennessee. I just come from a church within a quarter of a mile of where I used to work at for collision specialist for 10 years, called the Worldwide Pentecostal Church. And they welcomed me with open arms and told me how much they loved me and cared about me and wanted me to come back and hugged on me. Matter of fact, the preacher, as I was leaving, walked from the podium down to the front where the foyer was, purposely to shake my hand and to introduce himself to me and say, you know what? We appreciate your spirit here. Come back. Come back. Please come back. But not from this church and not from the Baptist churches. So obviously something has rattled these people to the degree that they're not only acting unprofessional, but they're actually acting like a horse's you know what. Because unless I have threatened them or threatened to do bodily harm to them or threatened to do property damage to them, they don't have no right in doing what they're doing. And as far as a disturbance, if the disturbance is coming from within the church to the point that there's disagreements in what has occurred with other members inside the church, that's not me. Once more, I'm being victimized here because of somebody else's squabbles or somebody else's disagreements or somebody else's debates. I'm being somebody's whipping post here, and that's not right. That's not right at all. I'm going to drive by real quick over here at this church that I went to church at. I sat there very humbly and gracefully, which that's what I usually do to all churches. And they never uttered a word about me sitting there or about a camera or any of the above. And after they called services for people to come up and pray, they actually had a baptism. I was going to stay for the baptism. That way I could have filmed the baptism. But I thought, no, I'm going to go ahead and eat first. That way I can wind up here at the Lighthouse Pentecostal Church. And I wish now that I went ahead and stayed, because if I'd have thought that they was going to be ugly towards me like these people are being ugly towards me, I wouldn't even attempted to have come back here. It's problems with how can I express this? It's problems with the United Church world, the United Kingdom Church world here in America, due to the fact that so many of them have been bamboozled. They have been lied to. They have been bought into a lie. And because they bought into a lie, now all of a sudden somebody like me is bringing a great deal of clarity to the teachings of transliterating the Bible in the correct way. And because of it, they don't like it. And because they're guilty of what that they didn't do that they should have done, going all the way back into the early 2000s, back 20 years ago with this church. And of course I can go beyond that with the world conspiracy that began in 1988 because of the guilt they have chosen. What did they have chosen? This is called Calvary Church Ministry, a United Pentecostal Church, right here. After I got through leaving the Baptist church, I come to this church. And believe it or not, I really didn't know that it was in fact a Pentecostal church, because I've seen this church. If I'm not mistaken, this church got built before I left Collision Specialists in 2005. I'm thinking that it did. But I went in there and those people worshiped with me, and like I said, even the minister left the front and come around and shook my hand here at the foyer and told me how much that he appreciated me and for me to come back. Now that's the way a church is supposed to operate. Regardless whether you agree or disagree with my ideology or my theology, that's the way a church is supposed to react. Now, if I had went into the Baptist church and I had caused a scene, then I could say, well, you know what? That's the reason why, Jewbee, that they're kicking you out and telling you not to come back, is because you went in there and you caused a scene. You tried to take over the show. Or vice versa. Right here at the United Pentecostal Church here in Jackson, Tennessee. If I had went in there and caused a scene, once more, tried to take the services over, then that would be different. But I didn't do that. Just like I didn't do it here, just like I didn't do it at the Baptist church. So there's something internal working here. And I'm just afraid what's working here ain't of God, but it's of the devil, towards trying to bring that much more negative notoriety into my life, just like what went on in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma in my life. That has yet to go for full circle to the point that open media, national open media, discusses that, how that was a frame-up job pertaining to a government cover-up that I helped to discover, or I helped to bring transparency out into the open of the documentary called A Noble Lie. This is so sad because this is not supposed to be going on here in America pertaining to people being prejudiced and people discriminating against other people. This is not supposed to be going on. But it is. It's went on throughout my life now for the past 30 years, and I've basically become callous to it. It's not that I like it, but I've learned to deal with it. I've learned to accept it. I've learned to look at it almost in the perspective of it being normal. Like I said, there's their telephone number right there on the side of their bus. 731-512-0021. Anybody's more than welcome to contact these people and ask them, was Dennis James Jackson in their services this morning? And I'm pretty sure somebody in there will validate and say, yes, we seen this man in this auditorium today. Was there any disturbances in there? No. Did he get up and do anything outlandish? Did he stand on his head? Did he strip off his clothes? Did he threaten anybody? Did he try to take the services over? What did Mr. Jackson do while he was in there? Well, he acted very polite, very cordial, very humble, very professional. That's the very thing that I done in the Lighthouse Pentecostal Church on 2 different occasions. That's the very same thing that I done this morning at the First Baptist Church in Jackson, Tennessee. And I got video here to prove it. That's one reason why that I've been going around with my video camera, is because there's been so many lies told upon to me. If I don't document and record every move that I make, regardless whether I go to this church or that church or this church or that church, then I sure enough won't have nothing in my defense towards being able to defend my innocence. If I didn't have this device, God only knows what First Baptist Church up in Jackson, Tennessee this morning would have said that I had done. Same thing with the United Lighthouse Pentecostal Church. If I didn't go in there with a recorder documenting every breath, every move, I guarantee you there ain't no telling what that they would have already done, got out here and cooked up on me towards, oh, he was doing this, oh, he was doing that, oh, he was turning somersaults and cartwheels in the church. He was looking up Aunt Sue's gown and trying to look down my stepdaughter's top. There ain't no telling what kind of lies that they would be telling on me if I did not have enough sense to take my phone and weaponize it to be able to tell not just part of the truth, but the whole truth. So help me God. Once more, this is another one of their buses here. And I'm pretty sure this is a very, very sincere, predominant group of people. You can contact them at 731-512-0021. They've got a little daycare center back here. I don't know who it was that built this church, but obviously whoever it was had good intentions, because they treated me like I'm supposed to be treated. I didn't get treated that way in the First Baptist Church, and as you can see, I didn't get treated that way at the United Pentecostal Church. Now I'm gonna go right up here. I said it was less than a quarter of a mile away, right? I'm gonna turn down this street right here. Somebody's doing a U-turn. Here's the church. This is the road. I'm pretty sure that church got built about a year or two before I left Collision Specialists in 2005. So that church is probably less than 15 years old, give or take a year or so. Turn right here on this street. You see those big buildings over there? That's where I used to work for 10 years. Almost 10 years. I lived in Jackson. I breathed in Jackson. I worked in Jackson. Jackson was my home. Jackson is my last name. I don't see no automobiles out here. Looks like they're skimming for work. Guess ain't had a lot of hail damage or fog or deer hits or something. But I helped to establish this establishment. Because whenever I first got here, wasn't none of that brick right there. Wasn't none of this facing the way that it is on the front of this building. Because this has all been added along with their foyer. And basically it was just a rough cut metal building, just like you see right there that says that sign right there. That's all it was. And they had a little makeshift office in the front. Since then, they have added all of this, all of that side. Well, I was working for them. I ain't talking about coming in here later on and building it. I'm talking about while I was working for them. And all of that you see from that 1, 2, 3, that fourth biggest door back is all new. It's all new. That I helped Mr. Steve Hardy to build and establish. So what's wrong with that? So what are you trying to say, Jewbee? I'm trying to say that I've left my mark here in Jackson, Tennessee. I've left my mark here in Northwest Tennessee. Not just up around the Real Foot, Martin, Tennessee, Sharon, Cydonia, Hoppian, Kenton, Tennessee, Rutherford, Dyer, Dresden, Tennessee area. All this is all new. All this. He added all that and all of this while I was working for him. Steve Hardy. And I don't know, I may not even be welcome to come out here on this man's property. Looks like everybody's disowning me. They're shunning me. They're discriminating against me. And this is all supposed to be illegal. But they've sure done it to me in the past 30 years. Once more, we're dealing with a Jerry Springer society that was guilty of allowing for society to become as dilapidated as what it is. And nobody wants to own up to any of their accountabilities. They're still wanting old Jewbee to be accountable for what old Jewbee does or what old Jewbee doesn't do in the eyes of the law. But whenever it comes to the seniors or the elders, no, we're not gonna know. Ain't nobody gonna admit to this. We're not gonna admit that we was part of this. That has brought an approach upon not only the United States, but brought an approach upon to the world. Don't nobody want to own up to this. In other words, do as I say, don't do as I do. Hypocrisy. Hypocrisy, hypocrisy, hypocrisy. Lived up here in this trailer court right here. I think it was called Rolling Acres. I don't know if it's still called that or not up here. Yeah, it's still Rolling Acres. Yeah, I lived all the way back on the very end. I'll take you back there real quick. That way you can get an idea towards where I was and what I was doing. God, they had to put all these speed bumps up because of the heathenistic crowd. That if they didn't have those speed bumps, I'm pretty sure they'd probably be driving down through here 1,000 miles an hour if they could. Running over kids and running over elderly people and just being just mischievous as you know what. They had a large Latino crowd out here during the time that my wife and I was living here. We lived here, I guess, in total about 6 or 7 years before we wound up moving to Lexington, Tennessee. Wound up getting traded off our single wide for a double wide, and got us a piece of property over there in front of Joe Howe. But we lived all the way to the back here, to the end. I don't know what the electrical people are out here doing. Looks like they're putting up a header or something for somebody. We lived all the way to the back. And whenever my wife and I went through a bad divorce, she kept the trailer. And the divorce deal and the responsibilities of paying for it. Within 6 months, we got remarried again. And then we decided to trade the trailer, the single wide trailer, for a double wide trailer. And once more, both of us signed that note again. It's the only time in my entire life that I failed on a financial investment. And it was simply because somebody had walked out of my life and they was fixing to stick me for everything that I was worth towards taking me to the cleaners. This trailer right here, this is not the same trailer. So whoever it was that we traded trailers for, they actually come and got that trailer. But this is where the trailer was, right here. We had good neighbors. Didn't have no trouble out of nobody out here. Look how thick that they are. Look how close that they are. You can't hardly get an automobile in between some of these trailers. We never did have no trouble out of none of these people. It was after 9/11 hit is whenever everything has gone spooky here in the U.S. And now it's become so hateful, mean-spirited, to the point that you can't even look at somebody without offending them. You park too close to somebody, and they're liable to pull out a gun and try to shoot you. Who would have thought that the Lighthouse Pentecostal Church, the United Pentecostal Church, would have showed their rear ends the way that they have today, simply because of me wanting to come back there and worship with them. Once more, I had my letter. My wife and I had a letter, a membership in that church at one time. God, I've never seen society become so ugly. It is so sad. So sad that I'm dealing with a bunch of paranoid schizophrenics that basically are discriminating against me, not because of anything that I'm doing, not because of anything that I've done, but because they don't like my theology, my ideology of interpreting, transliterating, interpreting the Bible of the King James Version. They don't like it. And because they don't like it, it's causing disturbances because they don't want to accept the truth. Once more, we're dealing with a society that's been bamboozled. We're dealing with a society that's been deceived. We're dealing with a Jerry Springer society. Look like you're gonna cook some steaks. Those are the best. All right. I'm going to leave Rolling Acres. I gotta go get me some petrol, some fuel, and go on to my next destination. Wow, this has been a heck of an April Fool's weekend for me. My God, I don't want to live through it again, that's for sure. Shalom.